Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together, we are Twinfinity.
We're twin flames in union, sharing our journey through a series of videos. This is now video number 26, called The Soul Activation. But before we get into our story of what the soul activation is, Rob's going to, of course, do our regular recap for you.
Actually, I'm going to jump in and do something like I normally would do
Oh, yes.
when we're out in the mountains.
That's good.
And let's discuss where we are and what we're doing.
Yes.
We are tucked right against our front window. It's rainy outside.
Yes.
We're actually getting rain, not snow. This is impressive.
Good sign.
Now, we're not very far away from snow. It just has to lose another 2 or 3 degrees, and we probably would have snow. But we didn't go to the mountains today. In fact, I don't think we're going to be leaving the house all day.
No.
That's very, very unusual for us on a weekend day. So,
Can I comment while we're talking about our little view here? This actually, we also picked this spot to do the video in today since we have to be inside, because this exact view, although on a clear day, comes up as a topic in our story, oddly enough. So, yes, in today's video.
Okay. So, recap.
Yeah.
Angie and I both shared the different ways we healed during the many years we were apart. Angie had taken numerous different ways of healing, including courses, classes, workshops, past life regression.
A lot of healing.
And all these different methods had their place in her healing journey.
Yes.
But the past life regression was the most helpful. Myself, I healed in very different ways than Angie. Most of my healing was done through watching others, learning from others, and traveling. Really love traveling, the greatest educator. And, of course, my time spent in nature, the kayaking, the hiking, the climbing. Yes.
And for you, with traveling, that also brought up sort of past life stuff in its own way for you.
Yeah, there's some places I had felt that I had been before, I had a strong connection with, and I'd never been anywhere near them before this lifetime.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before we get into this story, I just wanted to address the past life stuff a little bit more, because if you remember in our last video when I'm explaining all these past lives and who was then and who is now, Rob made a comment about, God, I'd like a chart to explain all that. Well, I actually had other people comment about that too after they watched the video, and they're like, yeah, I want a chart. So you guys, thank you. You all inspired me to make a chart. So I'm not going to get too deep into this because we got to move on with today's story, but I'll show you the chart I made, and then maybe we'll either do another video about it or I'll write an article about it. I don't know, whatever I feel inspired to do later. But I'll just show you. Here is what I kind of came up with. There's, if you see the middle part where the blue circles are, those are all the people in my current life that played a role in previous lives. So if you can see, I don't know how well it'll show up on here, if you could be able to read it. But then all the hearts are different lives that I remember. So there's 11 hearts there, and I realized afterwards there's one more life that I remember, which was my last life, where I was the native girl and committed suicide. I didn't put that one on here, but that one is another one. So if you see at the very top with Rob, there's the castle life and the Egypt life. Those we're going to talk more about in future videos as they come up. But the rest of them, as I say, for now, we won't really get into them for this video because we could be here a while. But it's fascinating when you remember lives, because you remember who we really are past this body, past this life. We are so much more than who we think we are just as this existence right now. It's wonderful gifts, I find. And before we get started, I just have one comment to make. I get a lot of messages from people, and one person, or a couple people actually, have been messaging me saying that they feel union is like right around the corner. They can feel it coming. And I also got another long, beautiful message from a lady that just shared she is about to come back into physical union with her twin flame. They've been apart for many, many years. Her journey has been very similar to ours. And she's going to be moving back to her home country to come back into union with her twin. Why I wanted to tell you guys this is because I know this journey can be exhausting. I know it can get so frustrating at times, and you think, is this ever going to happen for me? Trust me, we've been there too. At least I have. I mean, you probably didn't really think that way because you didn't know. But just have hope knowing that things are shifting. And as coincidence, more like synchronicity would have it, I had already planned to share that in our video, and then I go and watch Marla Kelly of Twinstrology. I keep wanting to say Twinfinity, but no, that's us. She's Twinstrology.
Yeah.
She just did a video yesterday, and in it she's talking about the exact same thing, that there are so many more people coming into union now. So have faith. It really, really is happening. Things are shifting. And just remember, union can't happen all at once for all of us, because we're here to light up the grid. Basically, we're like lighting up the whole world. And as each one of us comes into union, we're like another light on the grid of the planet. And if we all came into union at once, we would probably like blow up the planet. We're here to light it up, not blow it up. So if you're not coming to union yet and you feel like yours is far away, it doesn't mean you're not doing things right. It doesn't mean you're not doing the work or doing your healing. It just means divine timing wise, it's not your time yet. But know that your time will come. So on that note, we will get started in today's story.
It's also replying to messages.
Yeah, I was just going to say really quick, we get a lot of messages from a lot of different modalities. We get messages from YouTube. I get them on my personal Facebook. We also get them on our Twinfinity Facebook, both, directly on the page, and then through, private messages. So if it takes me a bit to get back to you, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I've just got lots of messages to reply to. And I will certainly get back to you when able. You may see that I'm on Facebook quite a bit because I am logged in while I'm at work. My boss totally knows this, has no problem with this. But I don't tend to answer a lot of private messages while I'm at work because I'm distracted with phones ringing, people coming in and out, and obviously I'm there to do a job, and I'm only supposed to be on Facebook when I've got nothing else to do. So I wait until I'm home to answer most messages when I can undistractedly focus on what you want, so I can give you my undivided attention.
And then sometimes I actually get off work at something that would be called
a normal hour?
On time, a normal hour. Then I come home and I get in the way of things getting answered, so sometimes it might take a day or two.
Yes, I do try to reply to everybody within a day. If for some reason I haven't replied in a week, please message me again. It just means something went wrong. I either didn't get your message or I replied and it didn't get to you. But just know I respect all of you, and if you're going to spend your time sending us a message, we're absolutely going to spend our time and reply to you.
Yes.
So just know that we'll get there. And we thank you for your messages. We so appreciate your kind words, everything you tell us, your stories. It's amazing how similar these paths are. Even though we all have a different story and a different experience, we all go through so many similar things. So it's fascinating reading all the other stories. So on that note, we will get going now after all of our announcements.
Okay, we basically left off more or less at about 2011.
Yeah.
And our first note starts in about 2013. And between 2011 and 2013, it's a little bit of a dark ages for us. We weren't in communication much at all. Maybe a voicemail or two back and forth, maybe a Merry Christmas or a Happy Birthday.
Yeah, but other than that, we didn't see each other. We didn't really talk to each other. So we, again, had a couple years of no communication, really.
But in March of 2013, I called Angie to say happy birthday, and I invited her out to go to a place called the Cheesecake Cafe. It's one of her favorite restaurants, a place I like too. I was in between jobs right at that point, so I had a bit of free time on my hand between looking for my next job that I would get and the last job. So I had the time to sneak away for a lunchtime lunch.
Yes.
And, it was okay to actually ask Angie to go to the Cheesecake Cafe in my mind, but I was in a relationship with Karmic too, and I was in a little bit of conflict with that because I knew that I would have to, because there's no real good connection between Karmic 2 and Angie, I knew that I would have to drop out of sight, just have a black couple hours in my life where I would have maybe even just a little cover story or something for what I did with my time that day. So, as much as it was fun to take Angie out for her birthday cheesecake cafe thing, I was also a little bit distracted by the thought that I didn't want to be seen by anybody or stumble across anybody that I knew, simply because I had that not right feeling. Yeah.
Huh.
But
And it's funny what we remember from that day. We are actually purposely wearing the clothes we're wearing because these are the shirts we wore for that day. This was like, what, 5 years ago? And I still very much remember what we wore, what we ate, some of the conversation we had. So from my perspective, it's interesting, you know, from our last meeting, the 2011, people have asked us, so like, what was it like? And did you have that feeling of, oh my God, I still love you? Even this one, I didn't really, because I was still in another relationship. And even though, you know, we had gone through struggles in 2011 with Regan's son living with us, now things were better again and we were doing well. So I wasn't like looking at Rob going, oh, I love you and I want to be with you. I wasn't having any of that.
No, I wasn't looking at Angie with those thoughts either. Sure, there was reminiscing that we did of past times, but I was still in my own relationship. Therefore, I wasn't looking to put my mind into a tailspin by having thoughts outside of just meeting for a birthday lunch.
Yeah. It wasn't until we met again a week later, which I'm going to explain next.
A week later.
A week later, yeah.
So it's not like it didn't affect us at all to go out for a birthday lunch.
We go from not seeing each other for 2 years, and then we do
twice,
a week.
Twice in a week.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So what kind of happened for me is, as you remember from one of our other stories, I had, with Regan challenging me with everything that I was doing to him, the go away, come here. Once I realized that, I had bought this thank you card for Rob because I realized I was doing the same thing with him many, many years ago. I still had this thank you card in my office and didn't have the guts to give it to him at my birthday when we met. So I sent him a text a couple days later, and this is what I said to him. Now, bear in mind, right now, we have texts to read now, and I have journals.
Journals, yes.
I just made our lives even more confusing for the rest of our stories, because now we got to go between texts and journals. So we're going to try and keep this a good flow. We'll see how it goes. So after my birthday, this is what I text him. I said, 1.5 years ago, I discovered I'm what's called HSP, highly sensitive person, which means I can get overwhelmed easily and thus react by getting mean/cold as a subconscious way of protecting myself when overstimulated. Too much to explain in a text, but short version is that when I realized my pattern of behavior with Regan's help of calling me on my shitty behavior, I not only felt horrible for the way I'd been treating him, but even more so for how I treated you for so long when we were together. I've wanted so many times to tell you how very sorry I am for treating you so horrible since becoming aware of my pattern of behavior, but the timer mode just never felt right. I've had a card in my office for the last year, yes, a whole year. I've thought of writing you a letter or an email, but timing was never right and the words were never there when I'd try. Now these last few days, my soul has been screaming at me that the time is now. Don't know why, but I've learned over the years to just trust. So here I am doing what I wanted to do for so long. Tell you not only how very sorry I am, but also how grateful I am for you, for being so kind and loving to me, despite my horrible treatment towards you all those years ago. Once I discovered the HSP website and learned more of myself, I started doing things to manage my ability to not get overwhelmed, and it's made a huge difference. I now meditate twice a day, among other things, to help manage my energy and sensitivity, which has really helped me not have a mean, angry outburst in nearly a year. So then I said, hope the job search is going well. Basically, we had already had a bit of a communication about the fact that I was needing to meet with him again, just to give him this card and say thank you.
Now, I still have this card, but I can't prove it. We saw it a few weeks ago, and I put it in a very safe place so that it would be ready for when its time came up, which would be today. And that very safe place is a mystery to me right now.
It's a very safe place.
I spent more time looking for this card than what this video is going to last, and I still I don't know which corner I put it in.
Yeah. But when we find it, we'll show you. Even when it doesn't tie into our story anymore, we'll show you.
Just refer back to this spot.
Yeah. It has thank yous all over the outside. This was a bought one by this time. I didn't make this one like I did the other thank you card, which is funny.
I thought it was interesting that we found 2 cards from her
Yes.
that were totally covered in thank yous. The
Yes.
one from 2001, which
So
we
funny.
showed a couple of videos ago,
Yeah.
and now the one I can't find right at this minute.
Yeah. Oh, well. So anyway, that's my big, long text of explaining to Rob why I needed to see him again, because I had this card that I've had for a year, and all of a sudden my soul is saying, I must give it to him now. So then he writes back to me, and this is where it's going to get fun, is we're going to start reading text back to you from what we said.
Okay. I said, I may be employed this week. Apparently I was making progress.
Yes.
An evening may have to suffice. Will advise. Just did a 30.7 kilometer run in the fog and the drizzle. That would be kind of like today.
Yeah, much like today.
I may need a hot bath to soak some blood back into my fingers and ears and toes. Enjoy the rest of this gloomy weekend. At least it's not minus 25.
So we ended up going. He was very accommodating in meeting me again since he still had the time. We ended up going to now a Moxie's restaurant, which is just down the road from where we live. We had this really just a better, different visit than our last one for my birthday because we had just seen each other. Now we felt like we could kind of get past the uncomfortable stage of not seeing each other for a couple years. And we just chatted like old friends. We were like tangenting from conversation to conversation. And you even brought up the word tangent.
Yes. Remembering some of the old words that we had.
Yeah. He was saying that he remembered how we used to tangent all over the place. And he's like, didn't you even like write that word in your journal about tangent? And didn't you even write like a whole list of words?
No list of words.
So then we were reminiscing about like our first days of meeting and the list of words. And after that visit, I got to just see in my notes if there was anything else. I just was so curious to go see, remember these words. So I went and I pulled out my journal and found, here's that journal that he was talking about. There's all our words.
You saw this back about video 4,
Video
I believe,
4,
is
yes.
the sticky note.
Yes. I wrote a sticky note in case you feel like you want to go look at it again. It was
Video
called
4.
The Love Story that we shared this initially in.
So I referred back to that because I remembered all those words.
Yes.
Not that I knew that she had wrote them into her journals or wherever, but she had them.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about this second visit is that something changed in me. My soul was reactivated. Of course, back then I didn't understand that's what was happening. But how I often describe it to people is that it was like a switch was turned back on in my soul. All those years it took me to finally let him go and move on many years ago that we've just been sharing in our story. All of that changed and now it was back and I'm going, what is going on? So of course, after our visit, I now have pulled out my old journal that I've never gone to reread in our past. And all of a sudden, I'm remembering everything we've been through. It's triggering all these memories and all these emotions. So I'm like, God, I don't even want to read this because it's like, wow, so overwhelming to read and remember all the hard times we went through. But I still, weeks later, I could not get him. It wasn't even just off my mind. It was off my soul. It just felt like something in my soul was different. So I finally was just like, what is this? And I couldn't take it anymore. So I went to the internet, didn't even know what I was searching for, what answers I was looking for, but I just typed in soulmates and up came the words twin flames. That's how I originally discovered what we were and how it was. I'm reading this information and it's just like my whole body is lighting up. I can feel like heat going through my whole body as I'm reading about twin flames and learning about this stuff. But I was still in a relationship with Regan and still happy. So I just kind of shoved this in the back and thought, okay, good. Now I at least have an answer and I know what we are and why I was feeling this way. So I stopped reading my journals and I didn't really research anymore into twin flames. I just moved on with my life. But then I send Rob another text because I got more emotions going through me. So I said, and by the way, I wasn't even necessarily meaning to send this text to him. It's just all these words and thoughts were coming to me. So I was just typing them out to just get them out, and I accidentally hit send as I was correcting something, and then I was like, oh my God, what did I do? So I won't read it all because it's huge, but I wrote him this big long thing saying, I can't believe...
We are really good at books.
Oh,
We would
God.
write 5, 6, 7, 800 word texts. And that's not including anything that's like cut and pasted and spliced into it.
Nope, that's just us. We'll have to like show them a text later on. By the way, I know you're all going to ask, well, how do you have your old texts? Yeah, let's...
Printing off. How do you do that?
Well, this is what I want to explain. It was actually after we were in union that I found this program that allowed me to do this. And it was because of stuff that was happening with Regan and court case that I needed to somehow to access my texts and print them out that I ended up discovering this program. So, of course, I printed all of our texts too, because why not have all this history? Because we have all this other history.
She's got a lot to tell me. She's the dark stuff, and I am the little light responses in the middle. That's me, and this is her.
Yeah.
That didn't happen all the time. No. I'm usually more wordy than she is.
My soul was exploding, and I was just like, oh my God, like... So I didn't, of course, tell him at that point anything about twin flames and any of that. I was just saying, like, I know I just met you and had to thank you for all of this, but now I have to thank you again, because after reading my journals, I realized how much we went through and how wonderful you were to me and all the crazy spiritual stuff I went through, and you supported me. So I wrote him this big, long book, and he didn't reply at all. Zero. Nothing. And they're all going to want to know why.
Well, okay. Well, let's try to put some perspective in this. Here, I am trying to just maintain my own sanity in my own life.
Yes. And
now she's really opening up to me all sorts of very deep inner stuff. And I appreciate it all. But I don't have any real good spot for this. I can't let it get into me, or else it's going to start to really mess with me. So I think I read it and then just put it aside. I didn't really think I had anything that I needed to say back, so I didn't respond. But I was having to mull and process and also try to keep all this in a safe spot.
In your emotional
in my emotional
life. Yeah, that's
understandable. Because I don't want to dig up any old emotions, because I'm dealing with emotions that I have just in my own life with karmic too.
Yeah.
So I'm not about ready to go rekindle any old past romance. I've just been trying to be friendly. So I didn't really have a good spot in me for this information.
And not that I was trying to rekindle any romance either. I mean, I barely had read anything about twin flames at that point. And there wasn't a lot on the internet at that point either. It gave me some sort of peace going, oh, okay, so we have a reason. We have a name. We have something, okay? We have a weird connection. Good.
I think there was a lot of self-protectionism in me.
Yeah, well, I can understand that.
I almost couldn't even dwell on it. I just had to go, okay, there's a whole lot there. Put it away, and then maybe go back to it a little bit later when I had some safe spot.
Yeah. So then our next bit of contact, that was April that I sent him that in 2013. When we started having contact again was his birthday in August. I sent him a happy birthday text.
May, June, July, August. That's a long time to go without commenting to somebody's outpouring of emotion and learning and stuff.
Yeah. But by this time also, July, Regan and my relationship completely blew up. We had like a blow up of fights. We ended up writing up separation agreement, and we were, as far as we were concerned, we were done. We were now sleeping in separate bedrooms, separate rooms of the floor, separate rooms on different floors of the house. And then we decided to give it one more try, and we decided to go to counseling, which is why I now started writing in journals again all these years later, because the lady I was seeing was a very spiritual lady, and she would do a lot of breath work with me and crystals, and she said it would be very good if you started journal writing because things will come up. So now I got journals to share too, which is really a blessing, but oh my God, it's confusing trying to bounce between texts and journals to tell a story.
I'm going to have a live timeout because something just hit my mind and I want to run it by her to see whether or not it's worthwhile mentioning. Are you ready?
Oh, that comes later.
A little bit later?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure we hadn't missed something.
No.
Because this was...
That's a very impactful part of the story. No, I won't miss that. Don't worry. It's all in the text. Too.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I'll stop interfering with the flow of things.
Yes. So, yeah, now Regan and I are doing huge amounts of work on our relationship, and then I just sent him, hey, happy birthday text. So I'm not even worried that he didn't reply to my April text, because I got enough on my plate dealing with a relationship that I'm trying to rebuild now that it's completely fallen apart. So then we're talking about Rob and going for his birthday dinner, and he says to me,
oh, strange idea. I could do BP's. BP is Boston Pizza. They have a monster salad and not bad desserts. Dessert's important.
For Rob.
I don't want to strong-arm you into BP's if you have no desire to go there, though.
So that's so typical of Rob. Nice, loving peacekeeper. Like, I know this is my birthday, but if you don't like BP's, we won't go there.
We'll go someplace else.
Yeah. So what do I say? I love the chicken pecan salad at BP's, so you're not twisting my arm. So I'm like, no, we can go there. Like, love it. So we end up going to BP's, and what's really funny is we won't read you all the texts between there, but we were really like giddy little kids about seeing each other again. We wouldn't want to admit that back then, but it's really true when you read back in the text. It's like we were so excited to see each other. So we had a great visit for that one. I purposely wore this necklace because I wore it for that visit. I don't have the shirt that I wore then anymore, but I did wear this necklace, and you commented on it. That's how I remember I wore it, which is funny. We had an awesome visit, and then I remember when we were leaving, he gave me a hug that just said so much. His hug to me said, I never want to let you go. It just screamed that.
Well... okay, I could believe that that's how that felt, and I'm not going to disagree with that. I think my perspective was a little bit more of a welcome back, and I enjoy having you back, which could be the very same way. I remember the hug was long enough that I finally moved away from the hug when it actually started to feel almost a little awkward. The hug did say way too much.
Yes, it did.
But yes. I was very happy to give the hug, and I stand by my hug.
And we're telling about this hug, too, because it comes up in later text conversations. So then I said to him later, I texted him and just said, thanks again for the visit and have a great day. And he replied with,
I really have to say that, do I?
Yeah, you do.
You're very welcome. I love our visits. Enjoy Paris.
So I was just going away on a holiday, and so he's saying, I love our visits. And I remember reading that going, love? You didn't just say you enjoy our visits, you like our visits are good, you love our visits? That kind of piqued my curiosity. Then our conversation kind of picks up after I get back from holidays, and I said, hey, I'm back, and he just kind of, we didn't really have much. And then October 4th, again, this is still 2013, I sent him a text and I said, thinking of you as I look at how big and beautiful the mountains are today, the view from my living room window. And then I sent him a text of this view, although it looks much better in the text because there's mountains.
On a clear day, there's mountains along at least half of the horizon out this window.
Yeah.
So it's a really beautiful view.
So it's just very funny, too, that this is our view now. And
yeah, I get to see this view any clear day. We do have clear days every so often.
So I sent this text to him on October 4th, and he did not reply to me until October 31st. We won't read his reply until I read some other stuff. This is where we get to go back and forth between journals now. Yeah. By this point, I had started reading my old journals in more detail, and I was starting to learn about twin flames. So I was really getting more information. So this is, I said, been having a hard time with Rob number 2. That'd be him.
That's me. I'm always so difficult.
Yeah. Been having a hard time with Rob number 2 since Halloween. I was driving home from work. As I was coming down the road to home, I saw how beautiful the mountains were, which made me think of Rob. This was again Halloween night that I was having this experience. I remember so clearly thinking, wow, I haven't thought of him for a while, and now I can actually think of him without longing or missing him. Awesome. That was around 5:30. That night, I was at the ballet, and I got a text at 9:36 p.m. I like how I so detailed, wrote that in my journal. Oddly enough, from Rob. And even more odd was that I wasn't even surprised. More like a, go figure kind of thought. Because of having just thought of him earlier that evening.
Yeah, she thinks of me, and a few hours later, I text back. And this is after more than 3 weeks of silence.
Yeah, and here's what you said to me.
Oh, yeah, because you sent me, the picture from 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I responded, nice view. We can't see the rocks from our place, meaning where Karmic 2 and I were living. It's high time for your vacation stories.
So now he's ready to open up to me again. And now he's like, hey, we should get together again to listen to your holiday stories. I'm like, this is weird. I finally let this man go. Finally detached from missing him and thinking of him. And all of a sudden, poof, he's there.
I don't know why it took me 3 weeks to respond to a nice view of a picture of mountains. I don't know why it takes so long. Again, I think it's because I had no place to put the information.
And again, back then, certainly didn't understand it because I was just learning all about twin flames. But looking back, I so understand now. On the higher levels, he didn't respond because his higher self could feel all my energy being all clingy and, oh, I miss you, please text me, please text me. It was when I finally let go that the energy was flowing between us again. And again, even though his conscious self didn't understand that, he was able to now respond. So on the energetic and higher levels, makes total sense. And this is what happens with us as twin flames. When we finally let go, they come back, and it drives us crazy. We're finally like, okay, I surrender. I'm all done with chasing you and missing you. And then, poof, they show up. That's how it goes.
Now, also, this is October 31st, and I kind of do want to comment, I'm just all in theory on this. That particular Halloween, Karmic 2 was out with her daughter and, this is hard to say, grandchild.
Inside joke.
It's very much an inside joke.
Probably shouldn't share that one.
No, poor people. They would write me off. That'd be the end of Rob.
Yeah.
I struggle with children.
Yes.
So I used to occasionally call the grandchild, please forgive me, the grand thing. Okay, so anyway, Karmic 2 was out with her daughter and the grandchild. And I had a whole evening to sit back and ponder how I was going to respond to the picture. And I also could do it without any fear of interruption. So that was probably a good time for me to settle down and be back in contact.
Yes. So now I'm feeling all frustrated. And I said, so ever since I've been a mess, anxiously waiting to hear from him, my mind constantly thinking of him and dreaming of him again. So here I was, I finally just let the guy go, and now he's back again. And I'm like, oh my God. So I said, yesterday was the worst day where I missed him so much that I cried lots. Now, also in between this time period, sort of October, November-ish, I don't have it written, which I'm kind of sad about, but I experienced our first situation of telepathy. My then Karmic and I were sitting on the couch. We weren't even sitting together, which is really kind of funny, where he's on one end of the couch, I'm on the other. We're amicable with each other, though. We're sitting watching a movie, and as we're watching this movie, I can hear Rob talking in my head, and he's saying, I really want to be with you, but I feel inadequate to you spiritually. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And so I know it's him. I don't even know how I know it's him. I guess I don't know if it was the sound of his voice or just the energy. But now I'm not even paying attention to the movie because I'm busy having a conversation with him in my head because it was just there. It was just so easy. It's not like I had to put effort into it. I was just chatting with him like I would if he was sitting right beside me. So I'm having this big, long conversation with him, and now telepathy had become part of my experiences with him. I was having meditations every night. He was chit-chatting away with me, and I was chit-chatting away with him.
I've never been able to have those conversive telepathies, but I have, on numerous occasions, responded back to a query of not with words, but if it's just a call me or be in touch with me, I've just had those feelings where I just go, oh, I should just send a hello text. I'll do that seconds or minutes after she's asked for it.
Yep. In fact, I can't even remember if I put it in here, so in case I didn't, I'll describe it. When I was first learning about this whole telepathy thing, I actually was practicing one night, and I telepathically said to him, if you can hear me, text me. And 10 minutes later, he had texted me. I mean, of course, his text didn't say, I can hear you, or anything like that, because his higher self is what could hear me. But his conscious self just got the call to text me. So he just texted me some random thing that really didn't, obviously didn't have anything to do with the telepathic conversation. But it was my validation that this was real, and I was not completely crazy, although I felt completely crazy, let me tell you.
I would usually just text something like, hi, just thinking of you.
And it wasn't even that. I can't remember what it was. It might come up in our future stories. So anyway, at this point, I'm now also really trying to learn what is going on. What is all of this? So I had now printed stuff off of the internet, and I still have it. So I'm going to just show you. This was, I think, signs of twin flame, or stages. I think this one was stages. And you can see what I did. The highlighted is what the internet says. So it would say something like instant recognition. And I'm like, yep, on the phone before even meeting in person.
Yeah.
So I'm now reading my journals, and everything from my old journals is validating what I've got off of the internet. And I'm starting to slowly put the pieces together that this is real. Like, we're really what's called twin flames. But my ego, of course, the ego tries to tell you you're crazy because the ego just can't process this. It's much out of the ego's realm of understanding. So I felt like a complete nutcase. So I was now meeting with a girlfriend of mine and taking my old journals with me and taking the stuff I got off the internet. And I would show her and say, okay, am I crazy or is there a link here? And she'd be like, no, there's something there. It's kind of real. I can see it too. You're not just making this stuff up.
Angie was very fortunate to have someone close enough to her that she could talk to about this, that wouldn't write her off as being crazy.
Yes. And of course, she didn't know anything about this, but she walked through the whole thing with me, and I love her to bits. I'm so grateful for her friendship because she was a huge support.
And let's also remember that I know nothing about this.
At that point.
Yeah.
Not at all.
All I've done is just continuously recognize that there's just a connection between us that won't go away. Yeah. It's just always going to be there. I've come to that, I call it a solemn resignation that I'll always have a connection with her. That's all I really know.
And at this point, I'm tired of this connection, still not fully understanding it, right? I mean, when you're first learning of something, it takes a while to really process it. So I had decided enough after this whole Halloween thing where I just finally thought of him after not thinking of him for a while, and then he texts me. I'm like, I don't want to participate in this. This is not what I want in my life. I don't want to go back to the old ways of how hard it was and how much we hurt and how much I missed him.
But now after a little bit more communication that we've had, like these 3 suppers over the past, year?
Yeah.
I'm starting to just get a little bit more comfortable with having her in the corner of my life. I'm getting more comfortable. She's learning more, but getting less comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go again.
Yes. So now November 9th of 2013, I wrote in my journal, finally last night I decided enough. I'm not living this anymore. What made yesterday even harder was that Friday night I tried to meditate and clear my energy, which made me feel a bit better. Then while still meditating, I got the image of one of my journals, so I went to get it. and read. And of course, it's all about Rob back from 1998 when angels were channeling through me, telling me Rob would propose. That was all channeled in poetry, so I believed them. And then journal writings all about Rob and I being broken up and still sort of together because we just couldn't let each other go. All the stuff we've just shared with you in our last many videos. I read for hours that night, which made me feel even more connection and longing for Rob, which is why Saturday was so hard. So finally last night at dinner time, I finally said enough. I cried and felt sad most of the day, and I decided I can choose how I want to feel. So I had a conversation with Rob in my head, because of course by this point we had telepathy going on. And I said enough, no more. Then I felt better again. Then early this morning, while fading in and out of sleep, I saw Rob writing the word appreciate on a piece of paper that already had the words, do you love me, check yes or no, like from the George Strait song. So Rob wrote appreciate, then check that box along with love to say he not only loves me but appreciates me. It really connected with me because one of the things I've felt is doubt, wondering if Rob is only wanting to connect with me telepathically for his ego needs and not because of me. It was also cool because it felt so real, like his soul was really trying to communicate with me and reassure me. So again, at this point, I didn't really understand yet that we were having astral travel experiences, and it was soul communication. It wasn't just a dream.
I also don't think that my ego needs would really feed into this, because when I step into the realm of ego, which is very much 3D, I'm not in my 5D mode. The two of them don't really live together.
Well, and telepathy doesn't really happen with ego. It's the 5D, but I wasn't understanding that yet. This was all brand new, and I'm just starting to put the pieces together.
So here she is. Okay, let's just back this up one notch. I've always felt a little bit, I guess I'll use the word insecure just to keep on going here, insecure about the level of spirituality that I've been at versus where she is. And now she's rocketing ahead again, but I don't know this. But this is very, very typical. I make a step up to get a little bit closer, and then she takes another step ahead.
Yeah.
It's all fine. One of these days I'll catch up to one of the spots where she's been before.
Yeah. So I said, this morning I've been trying to cut cords with him. As I did, I could feel him resisting, saying, no, please don't go. Very much like he used to do all the years ago, verbally, which he would. I'd leave his apartment and he'd be like hugging me, going, no, don't leave yet.
No, night's still young.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I explained to him that I'm not leaving his life. I just need my energy back and just need perspective again, and not to feel anxiously missing him and yearning for him. So he finally detached with a lot of discussion, still with resistance, but he did. So my thoughts are still with him, but I'm trying to release him. So interestingly enough, I tried to cut cords. Again, let's clarify, if you're a twin flame, you cannot cut cords. There's no point in even trying, because you're the same energy. You can't cut the cord to yourself. You can't cut your own energy off.
I've personally never talked to somebody in the twin flame world that's been able to be 100% successful at cutting cords.
Not at all. I've heard from people that when they did, they had horrible reactions. Their body went sick. There was one lady that said the minute she cut cords, her whole body went flying back and she fell on the ground and heart chakra was aching. So
yeah,
it doesn't work.
Use other methods. Don't try that one.
No. So now, November 23rd, in my journal, I said, an interesting dream of Robert again last night. Yes, he's still in my head and heart, no matter how hard I try to get him out. So, did cutting cords try to work? No, not at all. So I'm now describing this dream, and I said, we sat on the floor by the couch downstairs. This is in the house that we're in now. And just held each other. I remember specifically feeling the love and feeling so grateful to have him back in my arms and life again. Another thing that really struck me about the dream is how we were changing things in the house to make it more his home too. We put some of Rob's furniture in it and all felt very natural, like it was supposed to be, and not forced or awkward or anything like that. Now what's really, really neat is this was a premonition dream that of course I didn't know at the time, but how I described it in my dream is exactly how it happened. Rob now lives in the house that I was in before. So amazing, this journey. So then I said, amazing, even after I had just texted Marie, this was my friend that I was taking all of my stuff to and going, is this real? Look at my journal compared to what the internet says. So I would tell her, the struggles I was having and the crazy things that were going on. So I said, amazing, though after I just texted Marie last night saying I was having a bad Rob night, the dream made me feel better today and not worse. I didn't have a bad Rob day. Bad Rob days were when I'd miss him like crazy and cry. I'm sure you can all relate to those. I still thought of him lots, but less than usual, so that's good. Now, by this time, Regan and I are still working on our relationship. So you can imagine how confusing it was, too. I had all this weird stuff going on with Rob telepathically and in my dreams, while I'm still trying to put back a relationship with my karmic partner. So I said in my journal, I'm looking forward to my coaching appointment tomorrow to try and deal with this stuff and make sense of it and move on with my life without the edgy feeling. So what I did is I went to the spiritual coach that I was seeing, and because she was spiritual, I figured she would understand. So I told her I was learning about twin flames, and I was saying, as far as I understand, Rob is a twin flame, and my karmic partner, I call him karmic partner now, but at that point I called him soulmate. Again, in my opinion, the terms don't so much matter. But I said to her, he's a soulmate, Rob's a twin flame, and from everything that I'm reading, you're supposed to end up with your twin flame. That's kind of the point of this path. And she told me, do not worry and do not focus on all of these new age terms. That's just you trying to distract yourself from your current relationship and working on what you're supposed to be working on. Why I wanted to bring this up is because I see so much of it in the groups where people comment that they had a reading with somebody or somebody told them that it's not really their twin flame, or that no, they're never going to be together with this person. We are told that very often on this journey because, number one, people that don't understand this journey can't read our energy. They can't see a future with our twin flame because it doesn't make sense to them. Number two, we're often told wrong information because the whole point of this is that it causes us to go, but wait a second, I feel this inside, which is exactly the whole point, is to go inside, to get your own answers instead of getting confirmation from someone else, which I had to do too. So at first I believed her and I just shoved Rob further away out of my experience telepathically because I was told, no, he's a distraction. Focus on the relationship you're in. So I tried to get them out, but you know what it's like with the twin flame. They don't go away. You can try all you want, but they're just coming back. So at this point now, February of 2014 in my journal, Regan and I had had our very first counseling session together. It didn't go well at all, and it was starting to feel to me like our relationship was coming to an end. At this point, though, I had shoved most of the Rob stuff away. I was not practicing purposely telepathic experiences, but they were still coming to me, but I was trying to ignore them. So then in March, oddly enough, exactly a year later from when this story begins,
we're at another March, we're a year down the road.
Yes, I get a text from Rob saying,
this might be the last text of your 30s. She was turning 40. I said, my dad turned 75 today. My dad's birthday and her birthday on the calendar were one day apart.
Yeah.
So I always had a good reminder of whose birthday was when because I just had to keep everybody else straight. This is way too many milestones in consecutive days. Don't worry about your 40s. You are still plenty young, beautiful, and youthful. Love always, Rob.
Love always. What? So there's, back in September of 2013, I love our visits, and now in March of 2014, there's love always, Rob? What is going on with Rob?
Well, I think by then I have to admit that my switch was being turned back on.
You had your own soul activation happening.
Yeah, I was no longer denying this on a regular basis that I still had feelings for her. I was actually comfortable enough to text something like that, not really needing it to go anywhere, but just because I needed to say it.
Yes. So I think that's, oh no, there's a little bit more we were going to share. I said, so sweet of you. Funny, I thought of your dad today and debated on texting you to wish him a happy birthday. Or a happy 75th from me. But then I thought it might be a bit strange to him for an old girlfriend of 16 years ago to be wishing him a happy birthday. I thought of him nonetheless, though, and hope he had a great day. And yes, it sure is a lot of milestone birthdays, yours included, because he was going to be turning
50.
As for 40, I'm actually very excited, happy, and proud to be 40. Life only gets better. So then he says to me,
I hope you are going out for a celebration, supper, etc. tonight.
And I said, no, not tonight, but must have cheesecake tomorrow, because it's always been ritual to have cheesecake on my birthday. Yeah, if you're hearing noise, that's our dog snoring. She's got her throat on my leg, so she's using my leg as a pillow, and it's causing her to snore. Crazy dog. So then I'm saying, no, I didn't go out tonight. And Rob says,
do you need a cheesecake, buddy?
Oh, so now he's offering to go out with me for my birthday again. Wow, things have changed with Rob. And I said, too bad you couldn't have been my cheesecake buddy tonight. My cheesecake buddy was very grumpy tonight, so no cheesecake for me on my 40th birthday like was planned. Well, tomorrow's another day. So here I am divulging a little bit, not saying much to him, but kind of, read between the lines. Things are not good with my cheesecake buddy.
Yeah.
In other words, my karmic partner. And he says,
we should figure out a cheesecake night over the next few weeks. Like one of our own.
Yeah.
Your cheesecake night didn't work. Let's have one of our own.
Yeah. So now a year later, he's the one again contacting me and saying, hey, we should go out for your birthday. So things were starting to evolve between us. They were starting to change. There was the word love being thrown around a little bit.
My fault.
I was learning about twin flames and telepathy. Even though I was trying not to be learning about all this, it wouldn't stop coming.
And it wasn't my turn yet to learn about twin flames.
Nope.
And telepathy.
So in our next story, you're going to hear how crazy it starts to get.
Yeah.
Past life stuff comes up. Memories of Atlantis start coming up. All these wacky, crazy, cool things start to come into my life.
And we start to communicate a little bit more.
Yes. But we'll save all that for next time. So we're going to wrap this one up, and we will catch you in another week with more of the Rob Angie story and drama.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.